73% of people with investment accounts will never experience the moment where their money earns more than they contribute. Not because they picked the wrong funds, not because they didn't save enough, because they quit during a specific window that nobody warns you about, between year 3 and year 7. There's a dead zone. Your balance moves like it's stuck in mud. The excitement from starting fades. The calculator promised you millions, but your actual account shows numbers that wouldn't cover a decent vacation. And your brain, which evolved to seek immediate rewards, starts whispering something dangerous. This isn't working. It feels like a scam. Like the whole thing was a lie sold to you by people who already had money. Like you're the sucker at the table who hasn't figured out the game is rigged. That feeling? Say it's the most expensive emotion in personal finance. Because it hits hardest right before everything changes. Let me show you what actually happens in that dead zone, and why the people who survive it aren't stronger than you. They just knew what to expect. Harry works the front desk at a gym in Tampa, checks people in, wipes down equipment during slow hours, takes home $2,947 a month after taxes, splits a 2-bedroom apartment with a roommate for $623 each, drives a beater, eats a lot of rice. He started investing in 2021, $71 every 2 weeks into a total market index fund. Basically, a way to own a tiny piece of every major company without picking individual stocks. Set it up once, forgot about it. Then 2022 happened. Markets dropped. His account bled 17%. And here's what nobody tells you about seeing red numbers when you're not rich. It doesn't feel like a percentage. It feels like punishment. Like the universe caught you trying to escape your situation and slapped you back down. Harry's account showed a loss of $483, less than his monthly rent. But it felt like someone had reached into his future and stolen something that belonged to him. This is where most people tap out. And honestly, the logic makes sense. Why keep feeding money into a machine that eats it? But Harry did something accidentally brilliant. His phone screen cracked. Badly. Cost $200 to fix, which he didn't have. So he went 9 days using an old backup phone that couldn't run most apps, including his brokerage app. In 9 days of not checking. When he finally got his phone fixed, something weird had happened. The urge to look had faded. Not completely. His finger still hovered over the app icon. But the compulsion had broken. He'd survived not knowing. The world didn't end, so he tested it. Deleted the app entirely, kept the automatic investments running, removed his ability to watch. This sounds simple. It's not. It's one of the most powerful financial decisions a regular person can make. And here's why. Every time you check your investments during a downturn, your brain experiences the loss. Again. Fresh cortisol, fresh anxiety, fresh doubt. Studies on investor behavior show that people who check daily earn significantly lower returns than people who check yearly. Not because the market treats them differently, but because the checking itself causes bad decisions. You're not gathering information when you peek at a falling portfolio. You're manufacturing reasons to quit. Harry accidentally built a wall between himself and his own worst impulses. But that's only half of what saved him. The other half? He found something to do with the mental energy he used to spend worrying. See, the dead zone isn't just about numbers moving slowly. It's about boredom. Pure, brutal, unsexy boredom. Nobody makes content about year 4 of investing because there's nothing to show. No dramatic comeback, no crisis, just time passing, money sitting there, life continuing. Boredom is a trigger. When you're bored with a strategy, your brain starts hunting for excitement. New investments, new approaches, something that feels like progress even if it isn't. Harry channeled that energy somewhere else. He started learning about the history of markets. Not to trade better, he wasn't trading at all, but to understand what he was actually part of. He read The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel, and one idea from that book rewired how he thought about the dead zone. Housel writes about a man named Ronald Reed, janitor, gas station attendant, exposed to nothing special, died with $8 million. His secret wasn't genius stock picks, it was time. He started early and never stopped. Exposed his money to decades of compounding. The insight that hit Harry. The dead zone isn't a bug, it's the feature. Those quiet years when nothing seems to happen? That's when you're buying time. Literal time. Every dollar that sits through a boring year gets another year of potential growth attached to it. You're not waiting for your money to grow. You're waiting for time to do its work. But knowing this intellectually isn't enough. You need to feel it. And that's where Harry built his second tool. He created what he called his wealth calendar. Not a budget, not a tracker. Something much more primitive. A physical calendar on his wall. Every month that he stayed, invested without withdrawing, without panic selling, without stopping contributions. He drew a single diagonal line through that month. That's it. One line. 12 lines meant a year of holding. 24 lines meant 2 years. 36 meant 3. The goal wasn't a dollar amount. The goal was lines, staying in the game. Because Harry understood something that most people miss about compound growth. The math doesn't care about your feelings. It only cares about presence. Whether you're excited or bored or terrified, if your money stays invested, the compounding continues. Your job isn't to be enthusiastic. Your job is to not leave. Those lines became proof of something Harry could control. He couldn't control the market, couldn't control inflation. It couldn't control whether his gym would cut his hours. But he could control whether he showed up. Let's talk about what the dead zone actually looked like for him. End of year 1. His account showed $1,823. He'd contributed roughly $1,850. So he was slightly underwater. Felt pointless. End of year 2. $3,947. Better. But his student loan balance, $11,213, still dwarfed it. Every time he looked at the comparison, investing felt like bringing a water gun to a forest fire. End of year 3. This is where it got hard. His balance hit $6,219. He did the math one night. At this rate, he'd need 40 years to hit $1 million. 40 years. That number almost broke him. He sat on his bed doing the calculation over and over, hoping he'd made an error, hoping the math would somehow change. It didn't, and the voice in his head got loud. What's the point? You'll be ancient before this matters. Just spend the money now. Live a little. This whole thing is a scam for people who are already rich. That night, Harry almost transferred everything out. His thumb was on the button. But then he remembered the calendar. 37 lines. 37 months of not quitting. And the thought of breaking that streak, of starting over at 0, felt worse than continuing. This is what nobody tells you about discipline. It's not about willpower. Willpower runs out. It's about building streaks that become too painful to break. The calendar wasn't motivating Harry to continue. Only it was making it psychologically expensive to stop. Year 4 is when the whisper started. Not a loud announcement, not fireworks. Just a whisper in his quarterly statement. For the first time, the amount his account gained from market growth exceeded the amount he'd contributed that quarter. $523 earned. $426 contributed. His money had outworked him, just barely, just once. But it happened. And suddenly, those 40 years didn't look the same. Because Harry realized the math isn't linear, it's curved. The first 5 years feel like pushing a boulder uphill. The next 5 feel like the boulder starting to roll on its own. The 5 after that? You're just trying to keep up. The Federal Reserve tracks something called wealth accumulation velocity. Fancy term, simple truth. Why the first $50,000 takes most people 12 to 15 years of consistent investing. The second $50,000? 6 to 8 years. The third? Around 4 years. The fourth? About 2. Your money gets faster. Not because returns improve, they actually tend to average out over time, but because the base keeps expanding. 10% of 10,000 is 1,000. 10% of 100,000 is 10,000. Same percentage. Different life. Harry's in year 5 now. His balance crossed $17,461 last month. He knows because he checked, once, on his investing anniversary. Then he closed the app and went back to his calendar. 59 lines now. 59 months of staying in the game. He still works at the gym. Still makes $2,947 a month. Still eats a lot of rice. From the outside, nothing about his life has changed. But underneath, the curve is bending. Here's what this means for you. Maybe you've already started and you're in the dead zone right now. Sai, maybe you've been thinking about quitting. Maybe you've already quit once and you're wondering if it's worth starting again. The dead zone is real. The boredom is real. The feeling that this is all a scam designed for people who aren't you. That's real too. But it's a feeling, not a fact. The people who end up with money that works while they sleep aren't the ones who found a shortcut through the dead zone. They're the ones who accepted that the dead zone is the path, that the boredom is the price of admission, that the years when nothing seems to happen are actually the years when everything is being built. Remove your ability to self-sabotage, delete the apps, automate the contributions, stop checking. Find something visible that rewards you for staying, not for earning. Understand that the first years buy time, not wealth. And know that somewhere between year 3 and year 7, your brain will scream at you to quit. That scream is the sound of transformation trying to happen. The 73% who never feel their money work for them? They listen to that scream. Which side do you want to be on?